I just want to get on here real quick, make a really quick video. I had a conversation with someone, and we were talking about work and the difference between working for someone and yourself. And the subject came up about how hard we work for jobs and stuff like that. And the other person said this to me: "Oh, what you doing for your trucking company? I wouldn't be working that hard." Right? Now, this is a business I'm starting from the ground up. Me and my partner Ahmed, business partner Ahmed, we started from the ground up, and we've been working on it for almost 2 years now. It's close to 2 years. Created the company in September of 21. Our authority started in 11 of 21. November of 21. Just hear what was said. I wouldn't be working that hard. What you do, I wouldn't be working that hard. See, this is why you have to be careful who you associate with, who you're talking to about your business. Because most people want the money, they want the success story without the success work. They want the end results without the beginning results work. Let me say it again. They want the end results without the beginning work. See, they'll start it, but they don't want all of the in-betweens, the ups and downs, the struggle, the process to make something successful. And when I heard that, it for a second, it gave me a little doubt. Like, yeah, I am working on it. I started to do some self-doubt. And I went on for a few, and then I realized, well, what am I doing? I'm sharing how to be successful. I'm sharing insights on financial independence and wealth creation with someone who has no interest in that. There's nothing wrong with them. No hit on them and putting them down. Their energy is not there. So why am I talking to that person about it? Why am I that's my fault. And it's your fault. You guys are getting frustrated with people who have no clue, no idea, or even the aspiration to do what you're doing to be successful. So you got a choice. You keep your conversations to yourself and stay with yourself and associate only with yourself and connect with people like you who have those similar conversations. And unfortunately, most of that's not going to come from within your home or in your immediate circle right now. Let me tell you why. Because your immediate circle is filled with people who are pretty much at the level you are right now. Those are the people you pick to be at the same level. Yes. So in order to go to a new level, you have to get new friends, new mindset. You have to become a new friend to yourself. You have to change first and foremost. Not everybody else. When you change, your circle changes, because what happens, your circle's energy is going to change because your energy changed. You're not going to want to talk to you as much. You're going to become uninteresting. You're not going to be interesting. Like, you're not going to be intriguing. Oh, that person worked about that. That's pretty much what you too much into your success. I want to play. That's what's going on. So I hope y'all get the point. In order for you to get what you want, maybe the reason why you're stuck is because you're still stuck with the same mindset, number one, same friends, number two, in the same situation, number three. You're still in that. You're still in that energy field. Get out the energy field of that. You have to move yourself. So in order to get out the energy field, you have to start doing things differently. You gotta change. You see over there, that's the discharge webinar coming up on September the 30th. Join it. It's going to be great information. Me, myself, and Al Bay is going to be teaching on that, how to discharge properly and have success. So there it is. You change your mindset. In turn, that will change your friends, your environment, change your environment too. I know some of y'all immediately can't move out of your homes and stuff like that, but you can change the energy field around. So you got to go on a route that I just spoke on, get that lean. Like I'm in a situation like that. Everything you're saying, I've been through, right? I got a Nissan Titan 2012 I bought. Then I started learning this information, and guys told me I could discharge it. I tried that, man. Listen, it ain't nothing you could bring me that I didn't either try or even looked into. And I can tell you if it works or it don't work. That discharge crap don't work. So when people come bringing that to you, discharge, don't lose your property following that. Trust me, y'all gonna run into that, right? So I did all that, did the discharge, wrote these money orders up, got brought into court, questioned, almost got this, but I was smart enough to be able to answer the questions appropriately. So finally, the bank brought me into court. This is how I know you can shut lawyers down in the courts. I've been there. I'm not telling you something I've read on a piece of paper. I did it. So the lawyer comes in. They did what you call a claim 420 to get the vehicle back. But I said, I don't have a vehicle. It was here in Georgia. This is in South Carolina. I don't have a vehicle. The vehicle is not in my possession. Said, you know where it is? I said, it's not in my possession. They kept trying to get me to say, give them where it was. So when I got my turn to speak, I said, first of all, I want everything this lawyer said stricken for the record because he's a stranger to me. He's an attorney representing the bank, and the bank's not here. And the judge said, you're absolutely right. And I screwed up by saying more than I should have. I should have shut up right then and there. And I started saying, well, I don't know. I don't have a vehicle in my possession. So they skipped that part and moved on. That's why I should have stayed right there. The whole case would have been dismissed and I'd have been done with it right then and there. But long story short, they got a judgment to get the car from me. So they sent the sheriff to a house I wasn't living at. But they know where I was, so they called me. I got on the phone with the sheriff. I said, look, will you read the order? The order said it ain't in my possession. She said, you know what, it's right. You ain't got a vehicle. Why are they sending me to get this from you when it says you don't have it? The order specifically said they can get it, but the vehicle is not in my possession. So wherever they find it, they can get it. But it wasn't even in their jurisdiction. It was in Georgia. So those cases only have jurisdiction for South Carolina. So they couldn't get the vehicle. Long story short, they did what happened to whoever said they got that 1099. They did that to me. I get no bill. Said I owe somebody. Why? Because I had stuff in place where I hit the IRS saying, explain these deals to me that I owe this. Plus, I'm not doing contracts with them. See, you probably did a tax return that same year that you opened up a contract for them to even do that. There's no open contract for me to be involved in that. So they can't say I owe or whatever because I didn't do a tax return and not put that on it. See, when you did your tax return, to them, it looked like you left out the 1099. Now they're adding it in and saying you owe it. That's basically, they redid your tax return for you. See, I don't have a contract where they could say, okay, you left this out. See, those things are just statements of which they making claims. So what happens is when I do a tax return, someone enters a statement 1099A. Now I'm doing a tax return, I left it out. There's no balancing. So they're going to balance it out for me unless I dispute it. See, if you disputed that would have never been added into your tax return. You didn't dispute it. So then they go and say, well, you owe us some money. Boom, boom, boom. They said they mail it, and they love mailing to wrong addresses. They do. So that's why you got IRS letters are just like third-party debt collectors. Answer them within 30 days. If you don't, it becomes real. Okay? So with the car, they did the 1099A.
Oh, okay, great. Now I don't owe it. Now, and then they sent me a statement that I owe them no more money. Now, my only problem is I don't have the title to the truck. I don't care. But guess what? I just keep dealer plates on it. I don't care. Dealer plates on it. I don't even insure it because then insure it means I have to register it. Then that might bring up that order, all of that stuff. But once I get the title, I won't have to worry about that no more. Because what I'll do is take the title and sell it to my trust. Now it's under the trust and no one can touch it. New title, no one can touch that trust. They still can't touch it now because that order, that was like almost 3 years ago now. It's done. So with that car, just so, unless you want to sell it, that's the only time you're going to worry about needing the title. Really. Is it operational? Okay. Nah, then don't worry about it. You're just trying to worry about the credit part. Okay. All right, yeah. They coming at you. Are they coming for it like a third-party debt collector? Yeah, just send them a letter, man. Shut them down. Hey, I don't owe you nothing. He's still a third-party debt collector. Right. Mm-hmm. If they're coming in as a different name. So if it's a Bank of America legal department, that's a different name. Right. He's still a lawyer. He still don't have first-hand knowledge. They use the lawyer title for intimidation. That's all. They don't mean nothing. They still the same as any other third-party debt collector. Now, if they try to sue you, which they might, they're gonna bring a lawyer to the room. He still gotta follow rules of evidence. First-hand knowledge. Only person with first-hand knowledge can speak in that courtroom as a witness. Right. Who you was sitting there witness you signed the contract. Right. Don't argue about whether you owe or not. The point you want to make is who's accusing me? Is it the real party who witnessed me sign it? They might even send a document certified saying that you owe this, but it still got to be from somebody that first-hand knowledge. It's not your signature. How's it your signature? Because all they're going to do is show you a photocopy. That's not your signature. It's like, no, that's not my signature. It's a copy of what purports to be my signature. Your wording, how you address it. Hey, it seems like it's it looks like a copy of what looks like my signature, but no, that's not my actual Reading signature. Right? And most times they can't even bring them original contract. But even if they brought the original contract, who's going to testify that you did that? You have a right not to incriminate yourself, right? You can remain silent on that question. I can either confirm or deny. All right, passport. Anything else before I move on to this? All right. All that stuff I said about nationality comes down to this. How you fill this out. You'll run into people that talk about you need to correct your nationality. You need to correct your nationality. And they have all this long, drawn-out paperwork for you. And I'm here to tell you this is all you need to do. All. And this here tells you I can skip everything and go straight to the oath because that's where the answer is. In the oath. Right here on the application. And the whole key is not to look like a U.S. citizen, right? And this is the part, they don't read this first part to you. They'll start right here. Number 2, The statements made on this application are true and correct. I have not knowingly, whoever went for a passport before. This is the part they read to you. They don't read the first part. They read all of the part about your photograph is you and all that stuff is correct, right? This thing been going on. Nobody important. Good. All right. Let's read the actual oath from the beginning. It says, I declare under penalty of perjury all of the following. I am a citizen or non-citizen national of the United States and have not, since acquiring U.S. citizenship or nationality, performed any of the acts listed under acts and conditions on page 4 of this instructions of this application. Are you familiar with that? Anybody familiar with that statement? So can somebody interpret that? It's all legalese, and I don't expect y'all to get it 100% right. Can you kind of give me the gist of what that just said? No. It's saying, I declare under penalty of perjury all of the following. What you're saying, you're making a declaration to the facts here, saying that all of this is true and correct. And if not, you can charge me with a crime, right? Everything on this application is true. That's what this is, I declare under. But what I want you to focus on is number 1. It says, I am a citizen of the United States or non-citizen national of the United States and have not, since acquiring U.S. citizenship or nationality, performed any of the acts listed under acts and conditions on page 4 of this instructions of this application, unless explanatory statements is attached. I'm going to give somebody another shot, then I'll break it down. Right? But start at the beginning. Don't skip the beginning part. You went to the end. Right. You're making a declaration that you're what? You going there. That you one of these, right? Performed any of the acts listed in the acts and conditions on page 4 of the instruction application, unless what? Okay, so what is this saying? I'm gonna break it down. It's saying you're a U.S. citizen, you're a citizen of the United States or a non-citizen national of the United States, unless you do 2 things. You do what acts and conditions says on page 4, and you attach explanatory statements. So it's saying that you're a U.S. citizen. You're going to be looked at as a U.S. citizen unless you do what's on page 4 and supply your explanatory statement. See, they did it in legalese to confuse you so you would never get it. And if I didn't break this down, y'all would have never saw that, right? Because they did it backwards. Instead of just saying, hey, listen, if you're not a U.S. citizen, just go to acts and conditions and follow the instructions and give us explanatory statements. They just said it in layman terms. They know we are not lawyers because this was written by a lawyer to just confuse you, just like the Bible says. Christ has said, you lawyers blind the minds of the people, something to that effect. He condemned lawyers. So this is telling you not to even get a lawyer. Right? So they did this to cause confusion. So if they wrote that in the Bible, that means it's been going on for however long. These type of confusing statements. So let's go to acts and conditions. How many people got a passport in here or have tried to get one? Few of y'all. Did y'all ever read the acts and conditions on page 4? Didn't even know it existed, right? There's acts and conditions right there. Can y'all read that? Now, I did a seminar back in, well, it wasn't really a seminar. I'm part of another group, 12 of us. And it was one guy who thought he knew everything. And he was, yo, you can't do nothing over here. Because it says here, I'm waiting till they get back because this is very important. Wait, no, that's fine. I know people got to do their thing. Go ahead and get y'all a snack, whatever. Lauren, you want a snack from over there? You sure? Don't be shy. You know these things here are the truth. I remember one day I was sneezing, and the puppet put me on these. He said, take one of these. It was gone. Everybody back from the bathroom? Huh? I drank 2 bottles of almost that water. That just ran through me. Arizona, Texas. It was wearing on me. Like, man, I enjoy doing them when I'm doing them, but it's just that traveling, the hotel, and I get in and get out. I come in the day before, and then I'm on the plane, hopefully by the evening or the next morning. And that gets taxing. I like being home. Y'all ready? That brother went to the bathroom. This is it. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Okay, acts or conditions. So it says you need to, if you haven't done anything here, and if you have, explain it. So it says, if any of the below mentioned acts or conditions have been performed by or applied to the applicant, the portion which applies should be lined out. So what does that mean when it says line out? Right. So it says which applies. See, they even did that backwards. Usually when you line out something, it doesn't apply. Right? Very confusing, right? You think they did that, just because they didn't know what they were doing? They're trying to deliberately deceive you. Right. So you line out. People sit there, highlight. No, it says lined out. And a supplementary explanatory statement under oath or affirmation by the applicant should be attached and made part of this application. Now, I'm going to tell you how crazy people are. I have guys go do my process, go in there and do their explanatories and do their line outs, and the people will sit there and say, you can't do that. You can't do it, right? You tried it before? Right. And the daggone rules say you can do it. It'll say it. No. And then some places will refuse to even take your application. That's why I say do it on religion. Because at that point, they can't shut you down. Now they're hindering with your religious beliefs when they stop you from doing it. So my affidavits are done on religion. You see? Oh. Thank you. So my application is done off religion. So when they start talking that mess, hey, are you interfering with me from practicing my religious beliefs right now? And are you purporting to even teach me law? Because when you go to do the application, people are just there to take the application, verify that you are the person executing this application. That's their own job. Pay the fees and send it off to the Department of State to process, and they're the ones who make a determination whether you're going to get a passport or not. These people are acting like gatekeepers, and they're doing a job that ain't even their job. So when guys call me up, they not letting me. They won't let me. Stop telling me. That's one thing that's irritating me when people call me and say what they won't let them do. I said, listen, you're allowing them not to let you do it. Don't say they say, they say. They can say whatever they want, but if it ain't written on paper and in the rules, then what they say don't mean nothing to me. Because I'm showing you where it says do that. Now, this is the part where most people get confused. And everybody, whether they're trying to be a national or not, need to be in this section reading. When I get to a certain part, you'll see what you need, why everyone should be on this acts and conditions. Okay? So it says, I have not, since acquiring United States citizenship or nationality, been naturalized as a citizen of a foreign state. Let's stop right there. How many people took an oath to be a United States citizen in this room? Where you come from? You born in Georgia. So you went down and naturalized? Okay, so you good. If you ain't do that, if you didn't do that, then you good. All right. Now, military, you took an oath of allegiance to the military, and that you would commit for so many years to be in that service. But once you left that service, you went back to what? Civilian life, right? You go back to the original status. Right. While you're under that contract, you are a U.S. citizen and have to follow all their rules. You're no longer under that contract anymore. But that doesn't mean that you can't still receive your retirement. You still get that money. Whenever it comes to money, get the money. Okay? Don't be talking about I ain't a U.S. citizen, I'm not taking your check. Take that check. Okay? Don't let these fools tell y'all, because most people that tell you not to take the check, guess what? They broke. Okay? And the reason why they tell you, because they want you to be broke like them. You're going to read a lot of poor righteous preachers in this business. Okay? Telling you this. Y'all going to run into them, and a few of y'all might call me and say, well, this guy said this and that. And the first thing I'm going to ask you, how is he living? Okay? I live good. Okay? And I don't be ashamed to say I don't live good. I believe in being compensated for my time and my efforts. But in return, I'm going to give you the best information possible to help you. You could do something with what I'm telling you. Some of the stuff I told people in here just liberated some people mentally when it came to debt. Y'all was worried about this thing being on your credit report, and I'm telling you, who cares about a credit report? You don't tell me how good I am. But you just got to know how to work around it. It's always a workaround. Companies come into business. Most companies go out of business within the first 2 years. About 85% of them go out of business in the first 2 years. And a lot of them be out of business. They don't even fill out the paperwork the next year. Like, you know how every year you got to do the Secretary of State paper. They don't even do that. So they out of business just because they don't want to renew the stuff. Right? So why y'all worried? It's nothing to worry about. It's just numbers on the paper. That credit report do not represent who you really are. Okay? You don't want credit under that social anymore anyway. I don't have any credit. I got one thing under my social right now. Is just a house that I own, that I did back in 2002. And my ex-wife, she lives there, but she keeps screwing the credit up. She can't get it totally off my name. You see what I'm saying? But as you know, I could force it, but you know, I ain't got time for all that. I'm on the bigger and better thing. So it says, I have not been naturalized a citizen of a foreign state. You are naturalized a citizen of a foreign state. Which foreign state is that? Georgia, and what else? Remember what I said, spirituality? No. Spirituality first. You naturalized under the kingdom of heaven. Come on, y'all. Automatic. How did you get here? That didn't happen by some mechanical means. That came from divine intervention, how you got here. It could have been it was a million options to someone else being here, but you got here. So that was by design. Right? It was millions of them little things trying to get in that egg, knocking on the door, banging, let me in. And one came in, and that was you. That can't be nothing but divine intervention. That can't be nothing but ordained. Right. Everybody's ordained to be here. Everybody. This idea there's only one person ordained, this and that, that's total garbage. Everybody's ordained and have a special divine purpose to be here. You're not here to watch football games, play, that's stuff you do for entertainment, but you are here to leave a divine footprint before this body goes. And then the spirit goes off back into the infinite. And then guess what it does? Come right on back. Some people call it reincarnation. And that wasn't it. Every spiritual guru, Christ, whatever you want, Buddha, all of them had some form of reincarnation, or they are a reincarnation of a prophet or spiritual leader before them. They just keep coming back with the same thing. And they took this guy and called him Christ. What, you know, some people say it's Yahshua, but he's the same, represents the same energy, the same spirit. That is that you are to become him. You are supposed, you will never know anything Buddha, Christ, or any of these things until you become that. You won't know the Christ until you become the Christ. And that's the whole walk, is to become that higher consciousness and realizing where your real power is. And the power was given to you the moment that electrical charge, because that was an explosion that happened in that egg. It go boof, and then mitosis splits. 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, and so on and so forth. I can't even count that high. So, taking an oath or made an affirmation or other form of declaration of allegiance to a former state, right? Y'all got allegiance to what? Right here. That's a foreign state. See, they don't define foreign state because they want you to assume that foreign state means another country. And you notice how it's written? Right? Entered or served in the armed forces of a foreign state. Churches can have armed forces too. Except actually the Catholic Church, that's what nuns and monks were. Mercenaries. AKA missionaries. Yeah, when you go look up the two words, they're the same thing. See, what reason why they came up with missionaries, because during the Barbary slave trade over in Europe, they were snatching up people all over. Fair-skinned folks, that's what they were snatching up. And the Catholic Church had to go get them back. So they trained their missionaries in the art of war and fighting. So you ain't gonna send no guy who can't fight over there. These guys were straight warriors and negotiate these deals to get their people back. So it's really mercenaries. That's where the term mercenary come from, the church. And they knew how to fight. They war. That's what the Jesuit class guys. Those are warriors for the church. You see? So there's all this peaceful, loving stuff. And all of this stuff, they still doing a lot of those missionaries that were incorporated back then, they still exist today. And now what they're doing, they're going to these countries with their missionary work, bringing so-called medical intervention, which is poison, and is experimenting on people. So Tuskegee is still going on. Those experiences are still going on, just in different ways. And this next round of vaccines, you're going to see. All right? Entered or served in the armed forces of a foreign state, accepted or performed the duties of an office, post, or an employment under the government of a foreign state or political subdivision thereof, made a formal renunciation of nationality either in the United States or before a diplomatic or consular office of the United States in a foreign state, or been convicted by a court or court-martial of competent jurisdiction of committing any act of treason against or attempting by force to overthrow or bearing arms against the United States or conspiring to overthrow, put down, or to destroy by force the government of the United States. So it said line out what applies, right? So what would apply to you? And it said, this is where the guy thought he was smarter than me. He said, it says here, the portion which applies should be lined out. And he was like, none of this applies, so you can't line out none of that. Yes, you can, because it said the portion. So, I don't know why this keeps sleeping on me. Maybe because I'm going through this age to mind. All right. Portion means just that, portion. So I'm the orchestrator of my life, right? So I just pick out what I want. I have, line, taken an oath, made an affirmation, formal declaration of allegiance to a foreign state. I just lined that. Now I made that sentence work for me, right? So what my foreign state is, my religious beliefs, right? Then I skipped down to here, made a formal renunciation of nationality in the United States. For the brother with the security form, he would leave that alone because he's doing the security, right? Now, I just made that work for me. I said line out the portion, so I picked the portion that applies to me. so that they know that I'm not a U.S. citizen, right? All my allegiance is to this foreign state, which I'm going to point to in my explanatory statements, right? Then it says, furthermore, now everybody, even if you're not trying to, even if you want to be a U.S. citizen, should be reading this. Furthermore, I have not been convicted of a federal or state drug offense, convicted of a sex tourism crime statute, and I am not the subject of an outstanding federal, state, or local warrant of arrest for a felony, a criminal court order forbidding my departure from the United States, see, they got to have a court order to keep you from leaving the United States, a subpoena received from the United States in a matter involving federal prosecution for or grand jury investigation of a felony. That means that if whoever applied for a passport and didn't line this out, you basically said you're guilty of all of this. You see what I'm saying? So everybody that has a passport that didn't even at least do this part, you just told these people you a drug offender. You involved with sex tourism. Because it said line out what applies to you. But they never show you that. So this is why they treat U.S. citizens with hostility, because all of y'all are criminals according to your own hand. Draw a line right on through it. Line it like this. Put a line right on through. I have, because you see it's written, I have not. No, I have taken an oath or made an affirmation or other form of declaration of allegiance to a foreign state. I'm letting them know I'm part of a foreign state. It does get, okay, let's read the instructions. See, this will always get people right here. They get, because they so used to meaning that, right. Well, I'm gonna let this tell you what it says. If any of the below mentioned acts or conditions have been performed by or applied to the applicant, the portion which applies should be what? See? They're doing it backwards. Usually you underline what applies. Lining out means it doesn't apply. In our layman's world, that's what we've been taught. So they know you've been taught line out means doesn't apply. But here they wrote it in reverse. To purposely confuse your mind. That's why I had to read it over and over again until you grasped it. There ain't nothing wrong with you. What it is, you trying to undo that programming that they put in your head and reprogram your mind for what this is actually saying. No, this says that does it reverses. It reverses on how it reads. See how it reads? I have not since acquiring did any of these, so I have to say I have done it. This one says, furthermore, I have not been convicted. So if you haven't been convicted, you need to line, this all applies, line the whole thing out. So I have noted these problems, so I will line this whole this paragraph applies to me, and I need to line it out because it applies to me. Now you get it? Right. That you did. Right. 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 See how that's why I said y'all leave here with a headache by the time I go through all of this stuff. You know? You just leave a knot. You don't just say I have since acquiring, or you say I have. Don't do this. Don't say this because you never had citizenship. You say I have taken an oath or made an affirmation or other form of declaration of allegiance to a foreign state. Right. There's another part, some people would line through it, but the most important part was that last one I just told you to line out. Yeah, I don't bring the other one because some people did make formal enunciations. They, did come in as naturalized citizens, you see? So, but mostly everybody, even U.S. citizens or not, need to be lining this out and supply a explanatory statement with it saying you have never been convicted of anything. Right. You just line it out and then put explanatory statements with it. Because the rules is clear. Line applies and give a supplementary explanatory statement under oath happened by the applicant to confirm everything you lined out. You see? And they never read that to you. Never. Yeah, you got to get a new contract. So you have to turn that one in and apply for a new one. Now, I wouldn't do that now. COVID-19 is slowing everything down. And it looks like they might do another roll of things, and you might want to get out of the country, get out of here for a little bit of while, if things get crazy, Yeah, they're going to take the old one. They're going to give you a whole new number. Remember, it's a contract. So you got to create a new contract the correct way. Just give it to them. Like I did. Just give it to them. The driver's license, see, in my process, I teach you how to correct all of that. Social Security card, the driver's license, all that. I have an explanatory statement. Let me show you. I want the newer one because the older one. Oh, you know what? Here's the newer one, but this is for the driver's license. But normally this would say passport explanatory statement. That's what that would say. But I was updating. I had to go, since I did the name change, I was updating everything. So I just took driver's license. But then this says passport explanatory. These explanatory statements are done based upon my religious instructions and beliefs, and as required by the action conditions listed in the instructions on page 4. So I didn't finish this off. But this would be passport, but this is how the affidavit actually looks. So affidavit of right of South Carolina driver's license, that would say a right to passport application. Then see attached public law 97-280. What does 97-280 say? That's the template for the passport. It said 94-280, right? No, I use the same document for everything, but I just adjust the headings for what I'm doing it for. So if it's the passport, so I'm using this as an example. I might be able to, just for saving time, just using that one. Let me see if I can. That's the copy. This might be the one for the passport. Yeah, that's it. That's the same thing. See, it's the same. It just says passport explanatory statement. And then I put up here in red, these explanatory statements are to remain with and attached to the passport application in order for this passport application to be true and correct under penalty of perjury under the laws of the United States of America. That's another thing. If I'm trying to not be a U.S. citizen, I got to be clear where I'm coming from, where I'm hailing from. I think it's USC 1746. Unsworn declarations. So sometimes you can't get to a notary, but they'll accept an unsworn declaration, right? So if you want to execute without the United States, because that's how you want your paperwork to look, it should be, if executed without the United States, I declare or certify, verify, or state under penalty of perjury under the laws of the United States of America that the foregoing is true and correct. And then you put the executed on date and signature. Remember when?
Peace. I just want to interject on this part. You should be putting that on all your affidavits. that unsworn declaration that says without the United States. You need to be putting that on any affidavit that you're doing or anything you're sending into the state or in any court case. It needs to be that way. If y'all remember when Trump lawyer got in trouble, Michael Cohen, that's what he put on his paperwork. Well, let's continue.
Trump, Michael Cohen, got in trouble, and he wrote an affidavit. And this is how he did it. He signed it like this without the United States. He didn't say this one. So if you are executing within the United States, you go executed within the United States, its territory, possession, or commonwealth, I declare or certify, verify, state under penalty of perjury that the foregoing is true and correct. That's it. If you just say that, that's in the United States. Now, when you looked at the IRS form 1040, it just says, I declare. It says this, letting you know you're doing that within the United States. Now you're in their jurisdiction. That's why you had problems. You see? Now, when I do it like this, I'm without the United States. So whenever you addressing these people, you ain't got to do it to me like that, but you need to be saying I declare after everything with this, because that signifies you're doing it without the United States. Right. Right. Now, so after they write the United States of America passport, because it's not a U.S. passport, although the application says U.S. passport application, but I showed y'all my card. It was United States, was nowhere on it. It said United States of America, which is the Confederation title. All right? It is not United States. Really, United States full title is United States in Congress assembled. That's the full title of the United States. United States is the shortening form. So that tells you Congress is the one who, there's no United States if Congress is not assembled. So when they take a break, United States is shut down. Okay? They don't exist until Congress assembles. Right. That's why they be trying to make the laws before they take their break, because the United States is no longer there unless they're there. You see? Right. In Article 8 of the Constitution, it tells you that the United States only exists within 10 miles square of D.C., the District of Columbia. But by cession of a particular state. Cession, the word cession means the formal giving up of rights of a state. So in order for them to get jurisdiction, that state has to formally give up its rights to its citizens for them to come in. That's why they created, that's when we going back to what I told y'all earlier, how they did the 14th Amendment. That was a formal giving up of rights. Then 1895, Constitution started, and in their Constitution says every citizen of this state owe allegiance to the United States. So that's why I don't agree with calling yourself a state citizen. You don't want that. You want American national. If you are a Georgian American national, if you want to find the tribe you come from, pick that. No, Cherokee American national. Cherokee, I don't like that because that's another made-up term. That's not the real indigenous people. That's the Under the Doors Act. You can come be a Cherokee Indian. We give you all these benefits, and that started the $5 Indian routine, and they didn't even get them benefits. They just put them on reservations. You see what I'm saying? So, but there are tribes out there getting checks every month from the government. Yes, every check. And I know a couple of these people where their family get these checks, and they know nothing about what it's all about. I said, do you understand what this is? Did you go to college? Yeah. Did you pay for it? Yeah, I got student loans. I said, if you have registered under these, you wouldn't have to pay for all that. What? They'll say they want to know, and then I'm ready to do the business with them. They won't move forward. I know a girl right now. Oh, because she don't like how straightforward I am, she don't want to work with me. Well, you stay broke. You know, don't mind how I say it. Mind what I'm saying that could save you. You know? I wanted to work with her because she had the actual card. that they get. And I said, this would open my mind up to help all other people that don't know about these things. This is why we stay stuck. It ain't them keeping us stuck. It's our own people that won't give you the information that you need to help free everybody else. And that's what she didn't want. She didn't want everybody else to get help. And she wasn't using the benefit herself. You got something back there, somebody? Thought I heard somebody. Okay, so I use this scripture. Exodus 20, and God spake all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God, and computer shut down, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. The government wants you to think of him as God. That's why they have in God we trust. They ain't talking about that God. They talking about government over dominions. That's what God really stands for. Okay? And take further notice, Holy Bible, Romans 12, I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, wholly acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. And be not conformed to this world, meaning I'm not going to be a U.S. citizen, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove that what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. So all of this is right at the beginning. So they can't turn this down. Take special notice of Christ's word at Matthew 18:6. But whoever causes one of these little ones who believe in me to sin, it would be better for him if a millstone were hung around his neck and he would drown in the depth of the sea. That's my warning. Don't mess with me, because this is what you need to be doing if you stumble me. Good. Right, you just switch it up. Right, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Use it. I just use that because that's where I know. But I might switch it up and use what you're talking about. Because I do have a Bible that said all of the names of God, Yah, Elohim, and all of those things are in there. Actually, those are the original, I know, yeah, those are all the original names. We're using made-up names, like Jesus is a made-up name. That's a straw man name. You know, because the letter J didn't exist until 500 years ago. I am fully aware of all of the misconceptions, but sometimes I speak in their tongue. Remember, yeah, right. Well, you can use, no, in this case, you can use those names. Yeah, use them. I'm not saying nothing wrong with that because it's all about religion. Right. They can't, I've been saying it, but I haven't shown the proof. Let me do that. Let me get the actual PDF so I don't have to scroll through all of this. Well, I can use that one. Then go to the Bill of Rights, Declaration of Rights. All of them say this. I just picked one out of a hat, and it says right here: religious freedom, freedom of speech, right of assembly, petition. The General Assembly shall make no law respecting and establish a religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. That's in every constitution. You're going to see that at the very top. The reason why they did this, because the people that wrote this wanted to protect their religious freedoms. What were they doing when they first came over here? They were trying to convert the indigenous people to their form of beliefs. So they wrote this in as a protection. The colonizers didn't write that. Your ancestors wrote that. Okay? Stop thinking that they got this stuff from the indigenous people. It's called the Great Law of Peace. I got a whole congressional record where they break down how what they're calling the founding fathers got the constitutional provisions from the Great Law of Peace from the indigenous people here. No. From the England? No. How can they do that? Let's make sense of that. England is a what? What type of government is it? A monarchy. So how can they have, this is supposed to be what? A democracy, right? Really a republic, right? By law, right? So this type of government, the people run things. and they control the small group of people, right? They put them in office to be in control, and them people are trustees for you to make sure you as the beneficiary get what that Constitution says they're supposed to do. Constitutions are written to keep them in check. It's not, you don't have constitutional rights. You have what you call unalienable rights protected by the Constitution, right? So when people say, I got constitutional rights, no, you don't. You never took an oath to that. They did. This is the only thing they take an oath to. Every officer take an oath to this. And people say, well, the Constitution is dead. Then how come the president just took an oath to it to defend it? How come every officer, before he get commissioned, take an oath to it if it's so dead? And it says defend. What does defend mean? That they will die for it. Okay? If it came down to it, they will kill someone who infringes on this. And because we not activating them in the right capacity. We don't know. We so dumbed down. Even the ones who take the oath don't know. They take a cliff note type of like they get a little lesson on it, and then they take an oath. They don't even know the whole thing. I've seen someone take an oath to the do you know if you become the legal guardian of somebody, you got to take an oath to the Constitution? I watched a person, my fiance, took an oath because her son's handicapped. You know, he's not had the mental capacity, so we went in there so that she can be deemed him incompetent to take care of his affairs so she can take care of it, right? She took an oath to the Constitution, and she ain't never read the Constitution of North Carolina in her life. I'm like, I'm sitting here with my eyes like this. You taking an oath to something, you don't even know what it says. Right? Well, luckily she had me, I know what it says. But I'm saying they got people taking oaths to stuff that they know nothing about. So that's the same way with these cops. They don't know that they're pulling you over and what they're doing is illegal. You know, like a little side note, I can show you where it's illegal. That's your religious freedoms. Here it is. Attainder, Section 4. Ex post facto laws, impairment of contract, titles, affection of conviction. No bill of attainder, ex post facto law impairing the obligation of contract, nor law granting any title of nobility or hereditary emolument shall be passed, and no conviction shall work corruption of blood. So they're saying ex post facto law, bill of attainder. What's a bill of attainder? Let's look it up. They ain't even, I don't want Latin. I want English. Where's the English part? Oh, that's the translation. The definition. Item of legislation prohibited by the U.S. Constitution that inflicts attainder without judicial process. Meaning, they convict you of something like a traffic ticket without having a trial by jury. That's what that means. You need to go through the judicial process in order for them to charge you something. So what a bill of attainder would be is you driving, no registration, no license, and they want to tow your car and take it. In order for you to get it back, you got to pay them. That's a bill of attainder. They didn't go through judicial process to take your property, number one. Now, to get it back, you got to pay them to get it back, right? And no judge said you were guilty when you're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. So to pay a fine or a towing fee is a bill of attainder. You didn't go through the judicial process, and I'm paying to get my property back. You didn't get permission from a court to even take my car. That's all bill of attainder. Guess what else is a bill of attainder? Driver's license. You telling me I have to get a driver's license, and if I don't get one, you're going to fine me, and guess what? I got to come to you to get it. You making me get something, and I got to pay you to get it. That sounds like extortion to me. Right? Isn't that? We just do these things mindlessly, and they're not right. You're saying I am required to have this in order to not get stopped, to be in compliance, but I got to pay you to get it. Why can't I just have it as a benefit and get it free? Give it to me if you're making it a requirement. That's like you coming to my house, hey man, you can have it. You got to come to my house to eat. Come to my house and eat, but now I'm gonna charge you, eat my food. But you got to come. You gonna look at me like, are you crazy? Right? So they got you eating at a table without giving you a choice. That's a bill of attainder. And it forbids that. Ex post facto law. That's a law. Anything law they wrote after this, and it contradicts this, is ex post facto law. So all of your driver's license laws, all those codes and statutes, those laws are ex post facto law. Because now you're being punished for something that wasn't a law back then. So driver's license, IRS laws, all of those are ex post facto laws. And you can use this to defend. I stick this, I had open, like with that debt with the IRS, the state tried to take my bank account. IRS wasn't bothering me because I had them at bay, but I was sending something to the state was ignoring it, didn't respond to letters, so they went into one of my bank accounts and took about $100, right? For this $2,400 debt that they said I owed. So all I did was take the Constitution and stick it in their face, and then they backed off. I said, he said, well, you owe this money. I said, did y'all get a court order to say I owe this money? Well, we don't have to. I said, the Constitution says you got to go through judicial process in order to get this money. Bill of attainder. So they took my money without judicial process. That's a bill of attainder. That's another example. Okay? All that stuff they're doing is wrong. All right. Right. They did it without a court order. And the bank giving up your money. Did I give you permission to give my money to someone else? Without a court order? Child support, same way. They don't be having court orders. They just be sending these things saying you owe, and then your job give them the money. But you don't know what you're looking at. You think it's right. So here's another one. All courts shall be public, and every person shall have speedy remedy therein for wrong sustained. So when they take you to jail and you sit in 2 and 3 days in jail, they're supposed to take you to the judge immediately. You're not supposed to sit there and wait on the judge to get in. They're supposed to take you before that judge as soon as they got you, because what y'all don't understand is there's 2 types of warrants. There's an arrest warrant, and there's a warrant to incarcerate you. Most times they only have the arrest warrant. Okay, we got them. Now, before we go to jail, we need to get a warrant to have him in jail. That's why you ever go to, I've been in that position before, they said, well, you can't see the judge until the warrant gets here. You ever heard that term? Never? You can't see the judge until the warrant comes. They tell you that. They be open with it. Your warrant's not here, so you can't see the judge. Then I ain't supposed to be in jail, because the judge can't see you without having a warrant in front of him. So you're not supposed to be locked up without a warrant. They're supposed to have a warrant to have you in jail. This arrest is different from incarceration. There's 2 different warrants. The arrest is just to take you into custody. And then you got to go see the judge, and then the judge writes the custody order. You see? Everything has to be done by judicial process when it comes to putting someone in jail. But they skip those steps all the time. And that's what I exploit. Because they do it backwards. They take you to jail before they even have the arrest warrant. Then they put you in jail before they have the custody warrant. You see? Yes, you can. But I would sue the insurance, because they all have bonds. So you just sue the insurance. See, once an officer gets sued against the insurance, then he becomes unbondable. He can't be a police officer. That's the best way to get an officer off the force. And the second best way to get him is something no one ever used. It's through civil rights violation. You go to FBI.gov and say he violated your civil rights and point out that he didn't have any of these things. And then they're going to ask you, Is it a pattern of abuse? Check that off. The FBI got to investigate. And even if it don't go anywhere, guess what happens? It's a part of the record. And guess what happens? That raises insurance rates. See, you got to attack where the money is. Where the money. And money is, them insurance bonds are expensive. And you become unbondable, you know, even though these guys get off for shooting and killing people, his insurance goes up. Because now they have to pay off that. Who you think pays that? The insurance. That's why they get dismissed from one place and then they go get hired somewhere else. Yeah, there it is. So let's go back to the who was on the passport. Oh, I was looking at the affidavit. All right, there's the affidavit. Then I say, I declare that my name is Akeem Barber, proper style, a.k.a. Barber Akeem, under the sole authority and allegiance to the irrevocable Abrahamic covenant, which is a foreign state. So I just use their language in my paperwork. And then I say I'm a free inhabitant and native North American, Indian, New York, and national, but not a citizen of the United States, and free inhabitant of South Carolina. You never want to say you're a resident. You're a free inhabitant. Right. 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 Residents are for U.S. citizens. You know, like I was saying before, I didn't finish. You don't want to get mail at the house. Mail at the house is received for dead people. If you look at a mailbox, doesn't it resemble a coffin? It resembles a coffin because that's what it is. All dead entities go in that box. That's why they don't bring it to the door. They put it in the box. They put it in the coffin. And then you go open up the coffin and bring out all that dead entities into your house. All of this is all by spiritual law. Oh, that's what I was trying to show y'all, that public law. What was it? Public Law 94-280. And I'm going to use this as an affidavit. Where's the actual, this ain't it. Huh? That last page I was showing was the Constitution. Hold on, let me find out. Let me go back to my document. Oh, it was 97-280. I'm like, that don't look like 97. Law 97. All right. This is where I'm using this in my paperwork because they have ordained the Bible as the Word of God. Whereas the Bible, the Word of God, has made a unique contribution in shaping the United States as a distinctive and blessed nation and people, whereas deeply held religious convictions springing from the Holy Scriptures led to the early settlement of our nation, whereas biblical teachings inspire concepts of civil government that are contained in our Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States, whereas many of the great national leaders, among them Presidents Washington, Jackson, Lincoln, and Wilson, paid tribute to the surpassing influence of the Bible in our country's development. In the words of President Jackson, the Bible is the rock on which our republics rest. It just shows you that it's a republic, not a democracy. Right there. Right? Uh-huh. Actually, you don't see democracy nowhere in any of these legal documents. They always say republic. You only hear of democracy on what? On television. In the news. See, they got you believing slavery based off TV programs. But even in that, you'll see the truth. Because all they did was snatch people from one end, like the North, tribal people, and bring them to the South. There was no way they brought them across the African water. It was too rough. And where's them boats? They got all these other samples of everything. Where's the boats? Right? Then I'll skip all down. Resolved by the Senate and House of Representatives of the United States of America in Congress assembled. Now, do you notice? Now, it says United States of America in Congress assembled. It didn't say United States in Congress assembled. So this is the republic who made this. That's a different entity than the one I talked about before. Why? Because let me show you. See, you gotta watch these people and is this plugged in? Not charging. That's why it's going out, because it's not charging. So, all right, let's move this. This will be. Still not charging. All right. What is going on? Got it. That's why I keep going out. All right, what I was looking up. Okay, let's go to Avalon. Articles of Confederation. Now, see what it says? The style of this confederacy shall be the United States of America. So where's U.S.? It's not there. Now, notice how I was reading. And it's all properly styled, upper and lower. Right? It says each sovereignty, each state, see how it's written? Each state retains its sovereignty, freedom, and independence in every power, jurisdiction, and right which is not by this confederation expressly delegated to the United States and Congress assembled. I just read you a public law that said United States of America and Congress assembled. So that's a different entity than this. You see? And then the reason why we use free inhabitant is because it tells you right here. The better, when they created this confederation, this is what they wrote in Article 4, the Section 4. The better to secure and perpetuate mutual friendship and intercourse among the people of the different states in this union, the free inhabitants of each of these states, paupers, vagabonds, and fugitives from justice accepted, shall be entitled to all privileges and immunities of free citizens in the several states, and the people of each state shall free ingress and regress to and from any other state. This is your right to travel, not the driver's license. They tell you have all that's, and they use free inhabitants. So when I write paperwork, I say I am a free inhabitant of the land of South Carolina. You see? Or I can say free inhabitant of the state of South Carolina, styling it properly. You see what I'm saying? If I put it on caps, and I'm talking about the right South Carolina. You see? This is all of these. That's why you have to read this stuff. And this also says, full faith and credit shall be given to each of these states to the records, action, and judicial proceedings of the courts and magistrates of every other state. So they're telling you that if a judicial action happens in this state, I can take that record to another state and it have the still force and effect of the other state. So, you know, some parts I use constitutions from other states. They got so. And that's pretty much, you know, I have other things. I also have the rescission of signatures off all of the old stuff. I also wish to make it clear that I am not a statutory citizen and make no claim of statutory citizenship created by the state, y'all put a capital S, or federal government. I hereby extinguish, rescind, revoke, cancel, abrogate, annul, nullify, discharge, and make void ab initio. Ab initio means to its beginning, meaning I'm voiding that out from the beginning. All right? All signatures belonging to me and all previously filed SS5s, Internal Revenue Service, W4 form. I'm catching everything, 1040. So I'm voiding everything out that I was connected to. This is why I say the passport is important, because this comes from the Secretary of State. They issue the passport. This will be on record, and then you get a certified copy or authenticated copy of your record. And you keep it for your files with this gold seal on it. That proves how you did your application, and you keep that. And somebody try to say you a U.S. citizen. Yeah, I take this same letter, readjust it. Hey, I need to correct records. I need you to have this on file. They might say stuff like, well, how are we going to put it on file? I said, well, what do you do with the birth certificate when I give you a copy of that? Oh, we just make a copy of it, scan it in. Well, do the same thing with that. Right. Yeah. Sometimes you got to think for them. Huh? Oh, that's on my website. I have that up as a part of a process. These here, this, yeah, well, this comes from another guy, so I was sending you to him, and you can get this declaration, this here, you talking about? Which one you talking about? This is passport. This is after you do your passport, you just pay them to get this. Here, yeah, yeah. Yeah, you just put this declaration. You could do this before or after. This is something extra, just letting them know in my proper name that that's my name. I think I paid that dude. It was two different. It was a power of attorney, and then it was this. I put him. I think it was like $300 to get everything. Yeah, I'm gonna give you all this information, and you just go to him and get it. Now that guy, just get that POA and declaration of status from him. Oh, this is what this is. POA is power of attorney. You want to have power of attorney of that in legis, that straw man. And you want it filed. I'm gonna actually try. Let me see if I can find you. Hang on. Let me see something. The passport is the main thing. Yeah. POA. You can do power of attorney in conjunction with that. Y'all get it done here easy if you just send it off to Lamar County. They file everything. Lamar County, Georgia. Yeah. I have the information where you just send it off to them. Now they take a while now. Like that document I filed took almost 6 months. All right, let me see if I can find. All right. All right, I'm about to pull this up. All right, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm here. Okay. Uh, I apologize. My background is not what it used to be because I made a transition to another home. So I haven't got my thing set up, but it's good enough. I hope you guys enjoyed that classic. That was from like 20, that was right at the height of the COVID. Yeah, I think that was 2020, like November of 2020. Yeah, when I did that video. So things like they got a new passport application, but the process is still basically the same. Um filing things in Lamar County. You can't do that anymore. That guy retired who was helping everybody out there. He doesn't work there anymore. So there's no more filing in Lamar County, but you can still get those filings done in your jurisdiction where you stay. Can you guys hear me good? Let me just make sure. Let's make sure. Can you guys? And I have the where is it? Did I launch? Oh my goodness. I didn't even start the let me put this on. Give me a second.
Recording started.
I didn't start the where you guys could get on and talk to me. So, but I don't know. Did anybody try to get in here? So I basically showed y'all how to do the passport. Even look at that affidavit. Did y'all notice what I put in there? The Abrahamic covenant. That covers everything. Because what are the three Abrahamic religions? Christianity, Judaism, Muslim. Those are the Abrahamic religions. They're all cousins. Okay? Don't let anybody tell you anything different. They're all related. They all come from one place. So I think that was enough information that you could use that and get your passport without having to pay for the full process. Now, of course, my affidavit is different now. But after looking at that video, just watching myself teach that, and I was looking at the old affidavit, I need to go from that, take something from that affidavit and bulletproof the new affidavit that I have created. As you go along, if you're not elevating, if you're not growing in your knowledge and you're not improving on things, then you're not really growing. You're not really doing anything. There's people out there still teaching the same nonsense that they were teaching 15 years ago, saying the same thing over and over again and getting the same results. No real remedy for the people. You see? No real remedy. So my stuff is still getting people remedy, and we're graduating to new heights. But when I was looking at that, I was actually learning from myself. Because you teach so much, you forget stuff that you teach because you know, it becomes old to you. But then I looked at something in that affidavit that I need to put in the new one affidavit. So I'm going to go redo that. I'm going to redo that. But if y'all have something to say, the number's going across the screen. Right there. Questions, comments, y'all can get on and we could chat it up. I'm trying to rebuild that part of the show. Tomorrow, we're going to be broadcasting here, but we're also going to be broadcasting on this app called Culture Flicks. Culture Flicks. It's a new up and coming platform for content. What's great about this platform, no censorship, so I could go ham on that. I can let loose the floodgates. I could play stuff like Dr. Daniels. I could just reveal stuff there for now until until they come in and drop the hammer. But I don't think that's gonna happen for a long time. So I got a spot, I got a broadcasting spot. 7 o'clock on Tuesdays, 8 o'clock on Wednesday. That's that spot slated for us. Who the okay, see here's the Swamp Donkey says they say not to file any documents with this DS11. Who said this? Who's Tell me who's who. Who's the who? Who we talking about? How about you call in and let's talk about that on the phone. Tell me who's who. Who's they? Help me understand that. I'm reading the instructions that say you should be filing explanatory statements, but then the day's saying not to file it. Who are these people? I'm waiting. I'm waiting for a response. There's a number on the screen with the show ID. Call it or type it in the comments. Tuesday. Obviously, you believe they're the experts for you to ask me a question like that or even say something like that. Oh, he's not responding. I'm waiting for a response to that. Okay, I guess he don't have a response for his I'm trying to see who the they, but let me assume that the they is people who teach this and say don't file anything. Uh I can't go off of what people's opinions are. I if you notice how I taught, I went to different documents and read it. I didn't pull this out of the air. I read the DS11, the actual instructions. See, the problem why we get misled, we let people give give their opinions. I recall when this whole passport process was a thing before I was totally educated on it. There was a certain person who said to line out national on the application. Let me show you what I mean. Let me pull up a DS11. Now this particular person, let me share my screen. Hang on. All right. All right. Give me a second. Let me get that. This certain person was teaching. If you look at where the cursive is, it would say line out right here. And I did that a couple of times and it kept getting rejected. Then I got a letter from the Department of State saying that I cannot alter this section at all because it is the oath. And if you alter that portion, it invalidates the application. That was the main reason why most people during that time could not get the passport. Y'all remember, if some of y'all were around, it was called the super injunction. Y'all remember? And it said, cross this out. I did that. And they said it invalidates. And it makes sense because this section is the oath. This is the oath. So you can't mess with that. And it tells you right here what to do. It says, I am a citizen or non citizen national of the United States and have not performed any of the actions listed under action condition on page 4 of the instruction of this application unless explanatory statement is attached. So it's basically saying you're going to be a citizen or non citizen national of the United States. And you didn't do anything in the acts and conditions that are listed on page 4. Unless you have an explanatory statement. So if you did any of those things, you did something, perform something in acts and conditions, which is on page 4, and you're not a United States citizen, if you're declaring not to be a United States citizen, it is required that you give them an explanatory statement. Now you are complying with this section, this oath. So there's no need to line this out because I'm going to outline, I'm going to explain, I'm going to declare in my affidavit that I'm going to sign on the oath. That I'm going to sign unsworn declaration under the laws of the United States of America. There's nobody out there right now. There's people copying what I'm teaching. But even the copycats can't even explain it the way I explain it. Even if they listen to me 100 times, they will still be stuck. Because where this information comes from, it comes from a higher place. It's a download. And only people who get the downloads can actually convey the message properly. This is why God had sent certain people to do certain things, because they was the one fully equipped and ordained to deliver the message the way it was chosen for them to deliver it. Some people are messengers. Some people are listeners. Some people are warriors. Some people are messengers and warriors. It just depends. Everybody have their role to play to elevate everyone into a higher consciousness. Because that's what we all strive. We're all elevating to transcend the physical attachments of this world. We're here to transcend the attachment of our children, our parents, all of these things. And the moment you get into some type of situation, the first thing you're thinking about is what you're going to lose physically in this world, whether it be money or a relationship. And that, my friend, is the test. That's the test. But sometimes you're so blinded by losing this attachment, you don't even see the test. And if you don't see the test, every action, reaction that you have to that situation is going to be dysfunctional. And you're not going to get out of the lesson. Because I always like to bring up that movie Star Wars, the first one, the very first Star Wars, way back when in the 80s. I saw that as a kid. And when Luke Skywalker was trying to learn how to be a Jedi, the first person he came confronted was himself. Oh, Akeem's talking about the passport. Now he talking about spirituality. See, y'all, we could talk about American national passport all we want, but the true passport is the passport on to higher levels of consciousness and spirituality. So the first person he encountered was himself. And through all situations and adversities that you face, yeah, it has the face of someone else on it. It has the appearance of someone else, but you actually facing you. You are actually facing your own demons through that person. You are actually facing all of the things you promised yourself you would walk through when you decided to become physical in this world. And I stress, you decided that. No one else. So stop crying. Stop getting upset. Stop whining about why is this happening to me? Because it's happening to me because you chose that path. And once you accept that that's the mission and you understand, you're like, oh, wow, I chose this. I should be happy. I'm going through my tests. I'm learning something here. Most of the reason why the cycle keeps churning and turning and going back is because you haven't figured out the one lesson that you should have figured out. Why are you dealing with something for so long? Because you ain't got it yet. And you're going to keep dealing with it until you get it. It's sometimes it's a little tough being in my position where I could see things and know things but I can't reveal it and I can't tell it because that's that person's walk and they gotta wake up to it themselves. See, when Yoda was teaching the young Luke Skywalker how to be a Jedi, he just says, "Let the Force be with you." Let the Force be with you. That's what he said. But if you listen to what he was saying, if you actually paid attention to what he said, "Let the Force be with you," that was all he needed to hear. See, we believe that we could do paperwork, we could say things so fancy, and we can persuade people into our way. But if you understand how the Jedi's work, everything was by the power of consciousness, the mind. Draw this sword to him, pick it up, reach his hand out, and it came to him. My friends, you're learning how this walk is to learn how to be the Jedi. To call things with you without having to utter a word. Just bring things into your existence exactly how you want them to be. Overcoming the clouded, the oppressive thoughts or teachings that you got when you was a kid. Because first thing, that's why they gotta get you by the time you're 7. This whole system is designed to capture you, enslave you, encapsulate you into the system before you're 7 years old. They got 7 years to indoctrinate you. After that, they know you're cooked. You're done. And to get out of it, the only way you're going to be able to get out of it is to go through repetition to overwrite that program. But they also know that you're going to have so many distractions that you will you will always remain faithful to the repetition of what you were taught. That program you got up until 7. Where it hardwired you to be what you are today. This is why people can't read what I used to be like, how these people can't read what I'm reading? Why? And then it came to, well, you got the calling to teach this. So you're going to see it a whole different way. You're going to be able to see the truth. You're going to be able to unravel the words. The words are just going to make sense to you. But not everybody has that. And they need people like myself to unwrap it. But beware, there will be many false teachers coming to you. And in this game, there's so many. And they're on all levels. There's some, I'm about this. And then soon as something comes, soon as that they get a whiff that the government is coming, they conform. They sit in their chair and they put their hands and they sit up like good little students. Just like they didn't they do that to you in elementary school? Sit. Don't cross your legs. Sit just like this. And that small programming. Oh, and the other programming is the pledge allegiance to the flag. That was the programming. So that when you become an adult, it becomes automatic. Oh, yeah, you might get a whiff of, you want to be a little different. You want a little Give me a second here. I'm going in here and y'all can't even see me. You might get a little whiff of rebellion spirit when you want to switch up until the pressure comes. That's why I say the road to righteousness is cramped and narrow, and not many people find it. And the ones who do find it hard to stay on. I keep that scripture in my heart all the time. So when I see people falling by the wayside, guess what I do? Step right on over them and keep it moving. Oh, Akeem, that's cold. No, it's not cold, because if I go reaching down trying to grab them up, guess what? They can pull me over there with them. Y'all do understand this is a solo walk. Somebody asked me yesterday, who's my tribe? I couldn't even answer. I'm like, who's my tribe? My tribe is the people that are walking with me until they're not walking with me anymore. That's my tribe. That's my answer. And you got to be like, oh, I'm going to use this person words. Another one bites the dust and keep it moving. That's all you get. That's all you can do. Because you got to stay focused. Got to stay focused. He said they are full of it. So you got to remember, they wrote all of this stuff in legalese to trick you. That's why it's so hard to understand. And actually, there's a scripture. I pulled it up a long time ago because I wanted to read it to you. It says here, I'm going to start at the beginning because I like this. This is where Christ was saying, woes on the Pharisee and the experts in the law. When Jesus had finished speaking, a Pharisee invited him to eat with him. So he went in and reclined at the table. But the Pharisees were surprised when he noticed that Jesus did not first wash before the meal. Then the Lord said to him, now then you Pharisees clean the outside of you Pharisees clean the outside of the cup and dish, but inside you are full of greed and wickedness. You foolish people, did not the one who made the outside make the inside also? But now as for what is inside you, be generous to the poor, and everything will be clean for you. Woe to you, Pharisees, because you give God a tenth of your mint, rue, and all other kinds of garden herbs, but you neglect justice and the love of God. You should have practiced the latter without leaving the former undone. Now you see that tenth was not money; it was the mint, rue, and all other kinds of garden herbs. That's what they were given as a sacrifice. Woe to you, Pharisees, because you love the most important seats in the synagogues and respectful greetings in the marketplaces. Woe to you, because you are like unmarked graves, which people walk over without knowing. And a lot of them are like that. What's an unmarked grave? There's something dead in there. Everything coming from that means nothing, has no meaning. One of the experts in the law answered him, teacher, when you say these things, you insult us also. Jesus replied, and you experts in law, woe to you, because you load people down with burdens they can hardly carry, and you yourselves will not lift one finger to help them. Woe to you, because you build tombs for the prophets, and it was of your ancestors who killed them. So you testify that you approve of what your ancestors did. They killed the prophets, and you build their tombs. Because of this, God in his wisdom said, I will send them prophets and apostles, some of whom they will kill and others will persecute. Therefore, this generation will be held responsible for the blood of all the prophets that has been shed since the beginning of the world, from the blood of Abel to the blood of Zechariah, who was killed between the altar and the sanctuary. Yes, I tell you, this generation will be held responsible for all. Woe to you, experts in the law, because you have taken away the key to knowledge. You yourselves have not entered, and you have hindered those who were entering. When Jesus went outside, the Pharisees and the teachers of the law began to oppose him fiercely and to besiege him with questions, waiting to catch him in something he might say. So, what is this saying here? What is this saying to us? And this is a fact from my own experience. Anybody who has anything serious going on in that court and they got a lawyer, you are screwed. But these same people call themselves Christians, call themselves people who see. I use the Bible for my protections, but I don't play with it. It's really serious. It's not something I'm just doing as a just so I can get what I want. I do it because I know the power. Out of respect of my ancestors, I know who really wrote this. I know who really played with this Bible we have now is plagiarized from. It's from my ancestors. They wrote it all. And all these other coaches came in and took what they wanted, the best parts of it, and used it for their own selfish gain. You see? Wow, it's almost 9:00. Wow, okay. First time in my new place, I'm going in on 2 hours. The energy is right. Now, it's time to take this stuff seriously because as I continue this journey, I see people coming and going. I see people tested, and when they get tested, they fold. I told y'all a long time ago. Those pyramids represents the processes of how you elevate. Every step on the pyramid is a new level, and every level has its own test. And every level, there is a more severe test to deal with. But the process to get past these tests is all the same. You have to realize it's a test. And you have to realize that you should not be taking a lot of this stuff personal. We get offended. We get to, oh, why is this? Don't take it personal. All right, tomorrow, Unbound Soul Show with Raquel and myself. Not sure what we're talking about. I think we might be continuing that birth conversation. And tomorrow, yes, I'm going to talk about we have to be careful of what we're saying in our paperwork, what we're saying, because if we talk about anything outside of our religious convictions, they can attack that easily. Easily. All right. I guess nobody had anything to say or disagree with me on. I would love for somebody to come on and have their disagreeing points so we could have a discussion about it. I take on all challenges. That's what happens, when you have the receipts. It's very hard. It becomes very hard for people to come and disagree with you. What they do is they do little slick disagreements. Yeah. So I was asking Swamp Donkey. They say not to file any documents with the DS11. He ain't respond yet, so I guess he's not even in the room anymore to explain himself. So with that being said, it's 8:57. I'm gonna shut it down and go relax and chill out and get my house more together than what it is right now. So tomorrow, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will be broadcasting Unbound Souls. With that being said, peace, prosperity, and extreme wealth to everyone. Have a good one.